Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd, as well as my friends over at yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to work on the Big Collar Crochet Coat. I would absolutely say this for beginners, and it's got a little bit of extra stuff within the collar which I think beginners can learn using today's tutorial. It is classified as easy just in case the beginners don't get a hold of it, but today we're going to be doing this coat from start to finish. There's going to be many sizes from extra small all the way to 4 to 5 extra large. So let's talk a little bit about this pattern, what we're looking at. Let's talk about the yarn. You'll need a 6.5mm size K crochet hook in order to play. So in the link and the more information of this video, you're going to be able to find a link for this particular pattern, and as I said, it comes in many different sizes all the way from extra small to 4 to 5 extra large. So you're going to notice that there's a color breakdown here, and this is telling you what those instructions are. So give yourself a bust measurement to be able to determine what size you are, unless you know for sure. And then what you can just do is that you use those set of instructions. So all of these sizes are available in one pattern, even though there are many different sizes. So let's talk about what we're looking at for these colors, because that'll help you determine what size that you need to do. So on screen is all the different kinds of sizes that you have. So you have 42 all the way to 70. So what this is that this is the breakdown. So whatever size that you're working on, you're going to follow that instruction. So whenever a decision needs to be made, you're going to notice that it's color coded. So for the extra small, too small that I'm going to do on camera, I'm going to chain 42, but if you're doing the 4 to 5 extra large, you're going to chain 70. So the only difference here is that you have to look at what color that you're doing. What I highly recommend for you is that you grab a pencil or a pen and circle the number that you want to use. Even though it's color coded, sometimes circling helps you to be able to determine that. So what happens further on down the project is that you're going to have to make decisions, and it says work the second row until worked from measure begins 30 all the way to 32 inches. So you just have to be able to choose the number here that matches the size. Remember that is 76 to 81.5 is in centimeters. The first one is in inches. So just make sure that you're keeping track of your different ideas. So on page number 2 there is a diagram. Let's take a look at that. So on page number 2 you're going to notice that there's diagrams. So the instructions are only 2 pages. It's that easy. And you're going to notice that you're going to have to do one back panel. It's just a straight rectangle shape. The sizing of it is determined by the instructions that you see, but you can also see the finished instructions that you see. So it says that this is between 22 inches to 21.5, and all the different colors are shown here, and then this particular point to point is showing you another dimension that you see. So it really gives you an indication on what we need to do. And then we need 2 sleeves obviously, and this is the shape of the sleeve, and then when we sew it together it'll have a nice finished look. So on the front page you're going to notice the yarn counts, and these are using Bernat Roving Yarn. So you can see that you're going to need 9 balls, and this is just the 100-gram size of the extra small to small, up to 15 depending on what size that you're going to do. I didn't have this yarn in stock, so what I decided to use is that I used Bernat Softy Chunky. The yardage is slightly smaller than the Bernat Roving, so if you wanted to substitute you could do this with this one, and then just get 11 balls then of Super Softy Chunky, and then for this one get 12. So get 2 more balls than what it's recommending, because the yardage is slightly smaller on these. Again, you're going to need a 6.5mm size K crochet hook, or you can just use what's suggested as a Bernat Roving here, and then you can just carry along. So let's get started. We're going to work on the back first and then move ourselves up. So let's begin. We're going to work on the back panel first, and the back panel is just really 2 sets of instructions, and then you just have to repeat the second row over and over and over until you get to the amount of inches that you need. I'm going to be doing extra small to small with you on camera, so you just have to chain the number that you need here. So chain 42, 46, 50, 56, 62 or 70. Of course the bigger you are, the more of chains that you're going to need, and then you're just going to go back and forth just doing double crochets until you get to a certain amount, which either be 30 inches all the way to 32. So you're going to measure from top to bottom to being this kind of measurement. There's really kind of an easy way to be able to do that. Just grab your measuring tape and just measure once you get that done, and then as soon as that's done you're ready to move on. So let's just get you started. So here's what my back panel looks like, and your goal is to be able to make one of these as well. Again, this is for the extra small. So I've got myself all the way to my inch mark that I need, and it's all completely ready. As you can see, it's just a complete rectangle going back and forth, just doing double crochet. Let me show you how. So let's begin your back panel, and you're just going to start off with a slip knot, and we're going to get going. So it says to either chain 42 all the way to 70. Choose the size that you're going to do, and then you're just gonna chain. So I'm just gonna do 10 just because it's that easy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So all you're just gonna do is either go all the way to 42 or 70, and then what you're going to do is that meet me back here in just a moment and I'll show you how to go across your chain. So once you have your chain done, what you have to do is you have to go back across your chain to do a double crochet. So count 4 chain from the hook, so just count it back. So 1, 2, 3, and go to the 4th and turn it around and get the back hump of the chain. Wrap the hook and go into that one. It's the 4th one away, and double crochet. And now that you did the back hump of the back hump of all the remaining chain will turn upward and it'll be the next one that you see. And this creates a nice finished look for the base. So you're just gonna work across your chain and just double crochet all the way across. So just in the back hump, 1 into each, and you'll have a nice finished look at the base of your chain once you get that done. So now we're gonna move on to row number 2. So if you need to put me on pause, now's the time to do it because I'm about to move up. So for those carrying on, we want to do up the second row. So the second row is a repeat for the remaining of the length that you need. So to move up every row, this is what you need to do. You need to chain 3. That counts as the first double crochet that you have. So you move to the next one and you're just gonna double crochet yourself across. So 1 double crochet into each, going all the way across. Now here's the thing, if you're a beginner, don't forget the turning chain is a stitch 2. So this is not the end of where I was. Don't forget you have to go into this turning chain or you'll be losing a stitch. So just go right into the turning chain. Don't go into a space because that'll open it up. Just go right into the actual turning chain and double crochet. So look at it like apartment buildings. There should be an apartment building sitting on top of one. So this is an apartment building. This is sitting on top of this one is sitting on top of this one, and if you follow it down, each one should be equal to each other. So to move up the row, just one last review, chain up 3 counts as the first double crochet. So that counts as this apartment building underneath. Move to the next one and just double crochet yourself across. So all you're just going to do is that you're gonna go back and forth on your project until you get to a certain amount of inches. So for the extra small, it is small with 30 inches, and then you can look at the sheet on how many inches that you need to go in order to do it. Now because this is thick yarn and a thick hook, a thicker hook, it's not gonna take you too long to be able to do this whole back panel. It's actually gonna go pretty good. Of course the smaller you are, the smaller the panel, so that'll determine that as well. Once you get that satisfied, you have to end on the wrong side row. How do you know which is the wrong side? This, I'm looking at the right side. Okay, so I'm looking at the right side. I know this because of where this is. So when I go to finish this, I have to make sure that I'm ending on the wrong side. So I have to turn my work. So I need to get my inches. So measure your inches from the base all the way to the top, and your tail should be on this side of the work over here. Okay, so get the amount of inches that you need and just make sure the tail is on the one side there. If you're looking at the left hand version, it'll be, I can't say that it's right or left because we do both tutorials here, the left and the right. So just look where it is on the screen, and if you're right, it'll be over here, and if you're left, it'll be over here too. So it just is, if you're left, it would be actually over here. Okay, and if you're right, it would be over here. So just look where it is on the screen right now on the one, and then just fasten off. So all you're just gonna do is cut your yarn and just weave in the ends and get it ready. So this is how to do the back panel. So once your back panel is done, we're now going to move to the right front panel. I will tell you that the left front is also the same. So moving down, it says work from double asterisk to double asterisk as given for the right front. So if you go back to the right front, double asterisk to double asterisk. So both right front and the left front is this set of instruction that you see here. So right where it gets here, this is when it changes off. So let's take a look over here at the diagram. So left, right, okay, and left and right are both the same all the way to this particular spot. So right straight down is just a straight rectangle up, and then the right will go in one side and then the left will go in the other, and we'll cover both of those individually. So what I want you to do is I want you to get started this. Here's a tip that I did for myself. So here's my tip for you. Now we know that the right front and the left front are both the same up until a certain point. Okay, so what I decided to do for myself is that I did both of these panels individually up until that point. So what I have is that once I got to the point, I used the yarn ball that was left for that and I just put it aside, and then I went and did a second panel and I did the same thing, leaving the yarn ball aside. So if you're watching TV, this is a great way to be able to do it, kind of like an assembly line. And then what I'm gonna do now is that on camera is that I'm gonna show you how to finish it, but this is what I would have done even if you weren't watching me at all. I would have done both front panel up into the same spot, just put it aside, did a second panel as you can see here, and then just left that yarn ball on the side and then carried on. That's just a tip, take it or leave it. So I want to show you one more thing on the pattern before we begin. So one thing I want to show you on this pattern as we do the right front, because right front and left front are identical up until this point, you're gonna it says repeat second row until it begins to measure 22 inches ending on the wrong side. So what you're going to notice here is that there's no colors, not like here. So all of them are gonna end at 22, because when we go to shape the collar, the sizing that matters for your size is going to be indicated by the repeat pattern here that we see. It says repeat the last two rows 4 times, 4 times, 5 times. This will begin to give you the sizing that you need for your particular size of coat. So the sizing really isn't here, but it's actually gonna be in the shaping of the collar. So without further ado, let's get you started on the right front, and then you can do the left front, and then we're gonna shape the collars for both right and left. So let's begin to do the right front and the left front. We can do them both at the same time. Just do one and then do the other to a certain dimension, just like I mentioned. So you're either gonna chain 30 all the way to 44 depending on what size. Just look at the sheet and determine the size. So again, just chain like you had been before up into the size that you need. And then from there we're going to be able to make the determination of doing them back and forth. So 4 chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Turn it over, get the back hump of the 4th, and just double crochet across. So this is exactly what you did in the back. Okay, so you're just gonna work your way and double crochet yourself across the chain, and then you're gonna work backward, like as far as like going back over this. Just one second, I'll get there in a moment. I'm excited about this tutorial. I think some beginners are really gonna have a good time with this one. So you're gonna go across, you're gonna turn your work. Okay, so obviously it'll be bigger for you depending on the size you're working on. Chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and then just double crochet in each of the double crochets across. So you're going to go back and forth with these double crochets until it gets to a measurement of 22 inches from the base of this. Okay, so from this point upward it should be 22. Don't forget that turning chain. Whatever you do, don't forget that, because you'll be missing a stitch if you do. So turning your work, chain 3 and then double crochet across. So do this and back and forth up until you get 22 inches, and then you're ending on the wrong side. So right where the tail is right now that I can see is the right side of the project. So when you go to end, you want to ensure that the tail is on the other side. Okay, so when you finish it, you'll double crochet across, and then you'll just fasten off, and then you won't fasten off, you'll just put it aside, leave the yarn ball attached to it, and then we're gonna then work on the collar. So what I want you to do is do both the right and the left up until 22 inches, saving their own yarn balls, and then come back here, and then we're gonna start shaping together. So let's begin to do the right front first. See where this yarn strand is? This means that I'm looking at this side from the wrong side. This is where we need to stop, the 22 inches going up, and so the yarn strand should be here when you go to stop. So what I want to do is that I want to turn my work, and then we're going to begin row number 1 of shaping the collar for the right hand side. Let's begin to do that next. So as we begin this instruction, you're going to notice that we're gonna start jetting out, just like you see. When I start the first row of the collar, this is where it's gonna happen. So this is telling me that this is gonna be where the sleeve is gonna be. So what's gonna happen is that we're gonna continuously expand on one side but keep it flat going up the other side. So this is the interior of the coat where the head would be right here, and so this stays nice and flat, and this is gonna start jetting outward. It's not a big deal. It's really quite easy to maintain. Let's begin to do that. So let's begin to do row number 1, and there's 2 rows that need to repeat. So row 1 and 2 will repeat a set amount of times. It's either gonna be 4 or 5 depending on the size that you're working on. Just look at the pattern, you'll be able to determine that. So you're gonna chain up 3, that counts as a double crochet, and in the very first one, so normally we would have jumped over to the next one, but in the very first one where this is coming out of, we want to put another double crochet in there. So that's gonna increase it to being 2 double crochets into the first stitch. So this is what's gonna create that jetting out. So then the rest of the stitches across will each be a double crochet. So you know how to do that across, so let me get to the other side and I will see you there in just a moment. So I'm coming to the other side, and this side we're gonna keep exactly flat. Okay, so it's not until the very last row on this that we're gonna have that little indent that you see in the diagram. So make sure you go into the turning chain that counts as your last stitch, and then we're gonna turn. So that was row 1 of 2 repeats. So now what we're going to do is row number 2 of the repeat pattern. So it's gonna be what you just did, and now it's going to be row number 2. So what we're going to do is we're gonna chain 3 and double crochet across, and in the second last stitch you're gonna put 2 double crochets, and in the turning chain you're just gonna put 1, and that will allow it to expand. And we're gonna do the same concept what I'm about to show you there in the sleeves in the future. So we're gonna chain up 3 and immediately jump to the next one. This is the interior of the front flap of the coat. So we want to keep this side nice and flat, which you can see that it is, and then we're going to just double crochet ourselves across. So the expansion is actually not on the end, it's actually in the second one in, and it does a nicer finish by doing that. So let me get there in just a moment. So I'm coming up to the second row of the repeat, and I'm just looking for the end of the row. I'm looking for the second last stitch. So it's not the turning chain, it's the one right before it. Okay, so let's just stop and take a look. So you got 2 stitches left. So this stitch now, the next one, okay, is gonna have 2 double crochets in it. So 1 and 2, and then the next one is gonna, the turning chain will have 1 double crochet. So then that allows it to also expand outward. Okay, you can kind of see it now starting to happen. So what we need to do is that we need to repeat rows 1 and 2 for a set number of times. It's either gonna be 4 or 5 if you look at the pattern. For the small it's only 4 times. And so to begin row number 1 again, so you just chain up 3, and you're gonna want to record how many times you repeat it as well. Just take a sheet of paper and record it. In the same one right in below it, put another double crochet in there. That'll put 2 into that first one, and then it's 1 double crochet in each all the way to the other side. Then you're just that's row number 1. Then you're gonna turn and then just chain up 3, double crochet yourself across, and then when you get to the other side, again the second last stitch is gonna be 2 double crochets, and the last one will be 1. So what I want you to do is repeat these sets of rows now for a set number of times. It's either 4 or 5. Record it as you go, and when we come back I will bring you up to speed from that point. So get that done, and I will see you here in just a moment. So now that I've done my repeat pattern, I can see that it jetted out quite nicely on the one side. The other side it stayed flat. So now this is where you should be on this side. So what I want you to do is that I want you to count back. So we have to leave the next row. We're gonna stop partial way, and this is the neck area. So in my case it says leave the last 12 stitches empty. So it could be up to 24 depending on your size. So you just gotta count backward from the beginning on this side. So we're gonna crochet and stop. So we're gonna just leave 12 stitches empty. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So right where the 12 is, I want you to just put a stitch marker in there, just spare yarn, and I am not going to stitch in this stitch or any other stitches beyond this point. Okay, so what we're going to do is that the final row for this is that when we go to start, we're going to expand one more time. So we're gonna chain up 3 and put in another double crochet right into the same one to expand it out, and all I'm just going to do is gonna double crochet to the one right before the stitch marker. So depending on what size you are, that will determine how far it is from the center point of this. So this area that I'm doing right now is the attaching point of doing the sewing to the back panel. Sorry, I'm getting trapped up in my words. So I'm just double crocheting across, and then I'm gonna finish this one, and then what we're going to do is we're gonna do the left, and the left is actually almost identical to it. It's just how we start is slightly different because it is the left and we want to keep our stitches looking the same. So when you look across at the coat, see how the indentations go? You want it to match. So if it's opposite to each other, you'll notice that on the front of the coat. So you want to keep it looking the same, which we'll cover in just a few moments. What I would do if I were you is leave an extra long tail end on this and use that tail. Actually, you know what? Never mind my advice. I haven't got that far in the tutorial to give you that advice yet. So I don't know if it'll work. So just fasten off completely, and now you'll have the indentation in. This is the neck area here, and I'm gonna leave an extra long tail just in case. I'll do it anyway. We'll figure it out. So then we're just gonna fasten off and just put this on hold for now. I'm gonna pull out my stitch marker, and then I'll use that in the next one as we do the left. So now this one is completely done, and then I'm going to start with the left next. So as I begin the left hand panel, see where this is? So this is going to show me that this is the wrong side, and this is where you should be ending the left hand panel when you get up to there. And now we're gonna start the jetting out just like we did with the right. So we're gonna turn our work. So the difference between the right and the left is actually the side of where it's gonna be jetting out. So there's gonna be repeating of 2 rows like we had been before. The only difference is that last time when we started the right, we immediately jetted out, but in this side, because it's the left hand side, we're gonna jet out on this side first, on this side. So when we go to start, 1, 2, 3, that counts as the first double crochet, we immediately jump to the next one. So we're gonna go all the way across until you get to the final one and the final 2 stitches, and then that's when we're gonna do the expansion on the other side. Okay, so last time we started off with an expansion right away, but because this is the left, we want to leave it to the other side. And this will keep it looking in balance at all times. Okay, so I'm almost at the very end, and I want to look for the 2 last stitches, which are next. So the second last stitch is gonna be the expansion, so there'll be 2 into this one, and then 1 into the turning chain. So that was row 1 of 2 that we need to repeat. So when you go to the second row, we're expanding on this side now. So when we expand, it's just like before. Chain up 3. We're going to put another double crochet into the same one. That'll expand it on that side again, and then just 1 double crochet across. And you want to repeat that for a set number of times of repeating rows number 1 and 2. And in my case, because it was the small, it's repeating it 4 times, but it could be 5. So now you're pretty much positioned to get your jet out. You can now see where that needs to be done. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go all the way across, and then you just have to repeat what you just learned the last 2 rows for a set number of times, and then I'll meet you at the top of your collar coat, and then we'll finish off the last row together. So I now almost finished the left hand side. I'm not quite done yet. I still have 1 partial to go because the fact is that I need the indentation. Now when we finished the right, we were finished on this side, but you'll notice on this side we're finishing off here. So what we have to do for the last row is that we have to actually finish this yarn off, but we're not done it yet. Okay, so let's just finish this off. I'm gonna use a darning needle to hide that in later. And then all I'm just gonna do is turn my work, and we have to skip a set amount of stitches. It'll either be skipping a number, either 12, 14, 15, 18, 20, or 24. So right from the first, just get a stitch marker. Actually, you know what? You don't even need to bother. Just get your yarn ready for your hook. And you need to skip the number of stitches that's matching your size. So mine's gonna be 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I come to the 13th one. So skip the number that it suggests, fasten on, chain up 3. Okay, leave this straggler down on top of the line and just crochet right up over top of it. It'll get it stuck underneath, and you're just gonna double crochet yourself all the way across. Now when you get to the other side, you want to just do that expansion 1 last time, because that's the side that you're gonna end up on, and then you're gonna fasten off for real, and then you're completely done this one. So the reason why that you had to fasten off to do this particular row that you're doing now is that because it is the left hand side, it's the opposite, it's the mirror, so you couldn't have done it the same way on both sides, because then it will be on the wrong side. So working my way across, and after we get this done, we're gonna move on to our sleeves. The sleeves are really quite easy, and then it'll explain what you've been looking at the pattern for my particular notes on the top as well, and there's a very easy repeat pattern for those as well. So just coming right to the edge. Remember, I still have an expansion to do. Second last stitch as always. So I got 2 stitches left, so the next one is gonna have 2 double crochets in it to expand, and then the last one in the turning chain is 1 double crochet. So just fasten off now, weave in your ends. Just go back through your panel, just weave in your ends, get rid of those, and then what we're going to do then is that we're gonna move on to the sleeves next. So I will get rid of my ends now, so I'm prepared and fully ready for the next one. So let's do a quick review on how to weave in your ends. So all you're just gonna go through is your panels and making sure that you do this every time you had a loose end to deal with. Just put the remaining yarn onto a darning needle and just glide it up underneath the stitches. Don't ever impede the outside of the look, because then you'll wreck it. So just go across underneath the stitches for 1. Just pull the yarn through. So just count it 1, and then go back in the other direction through a different path for 2, and then finally go back in the other direction again a third time as a charm, and you're just going to weave it in. So you can, this will never fall out because you've woven it in 3 times. So just trim your work right down, and any loose ends that you may have had in your project, if you've had to change your yarn even back to where you had done it right in the very beginning. So let's quickly do that one. The beginning strand, let's get rid of that one. Just throw it onto a darning needle. It only takes just a few moments, and then you have a really nice look. Again, traveling it underneath the stitchers. So 1, this one I didn't leave a lot of space on. 1 and 2. The goal is to get it in there 3 times, and third time is a charm. Remember, each time it has to go through a different path so that it's getting stuck within the fibers, and then just trim it right down. So do that with any loose ends that you have, and then meet me back here. But we're going to work on the sleeves next, which are very easy beginning. So let's begin to work on the sleeves. So the sleeve, you gotta do 2 of them, and the sleeve we're gonna start here and work our way back up to your shoulder. Now I've done the small size so it doesn't fit me, but we're gonna just start at the base here and work our way and progressively get bigger. The repeat pattern is so simple on this one, is that it's just a matter of repeating 3 rows over and over and over till you get to what you need to do. So it's a really neat idea, and you're gonna have to do 2 of them, but let me take you back to the paper because you saw notes in there, and now it'll make sense why I did them. So let me just show you that. So I'm one for writing on my patterns, and what I have here is that I did the sleeves that you see. So don't worry about the right front 20 inches. I was making other notes. So what I have is an increase in 1 and 2. So these are 1, 2 and 3. So 1, 2 and 3. So what this is that the sleeve, once we get started with this and it starts to do the repeat pattern, we have to repeat the pattern a set number of times. It's either gonna be 6 or 7 depending on the pattern. So what I did is that I made this little chart for myself, and I had to repeat it 6 times. So after it says to repeat the last 3 rows 6 times, I just did a chart like this, and then I just put a dot the first time I went through it for the one sleeve, and then the second time I went through it as that I circled it and did it as I went. So as I went through each one, then I kept track. So every time I hit the first one I did an increase, which I'll show you, and then when I did it on the 1 and 2 are just regular straight back and forth. So every third row will increase. So let's show you how to get started on the sleeves. So let me show you how to start the sleeves. So the sleeves, you either have to chain 21 all the way up to 27 depending on the size. So I'm just gonna do a smaller sample because it doesn't matter on what size that I do, because the increase is pretty easy to follow. So you have to either chain 21 or all the way to 27. It depends on the size. I'm just chaining a little bit. So on the very first row you're gonna go like you did before on the panels. You did 4 chain from the hook. So just count it back. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and turn it over and get the back hump of that chain and just crochet yourself across. Let me try that again. Just the 4th chain, and you just keep going all the way across just like you see. So this is kind of row number 1, but just a miniature version just to show you how it's done. So row number 2, let's begin to do row number 2. Really quite simple. We're going to just treat it like a normal row going across. So we chain up 3, which counts as a double crochet, and then we go to the next one and double crochet ourselves across. So that was row number 2. So in the second row, all we just need to do is that we just need to chain up 3, and then we're gonna just do one double crochet in each. So just go to the next one and just 1 double crochet. So this is row number 2. So what we're going to do before we're ready for the expansion, we're gonna do 2 more repeats of row number 2. So turn it, and so it's just a matter of going back and forth. So let's just do it. So we're gonna chain up 3 and then 1 double crochet in each. Obviously your sleeve will be wider. The repeat is actually very easy to be able to manage. So we're gonna go across. So that was repeating it once, and turn it and do it again. So chain up 3 and double crochet across. Just like that. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next row and then the next 2 rows. So the next 3 rows are gonna be the repeat, but we have to do it one time before we can start. So we're going to start, and we are going to just do the first row, which is gonna be an increased row. So you're gonna chain up 3, which counts as a double crochet, and then in the same stitch right below in it, you're going to double crochet again. And now you're going to double crochet yourself all the way across, except for when you get the second last stitch where you're going to increase. So you just double crochet across as normal, except for the second last stitch you were going to apply 2 double crochets into that one. So you're expanding on both sides of it. Before we were just expanding on just the one side, and then just put 1 double crochet in the turning chain. So that was the increase of that. So the next 2 rows are just maintaining what we have. So we just chain up 3, counts as a double crochet, and then it's just 1 double crochet in each going all the way across. So there's no expansion here. So it takes its time in expanding outward. Okay, so then we turn our work and repeat it one more time. So just chain up 3, counts as a double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in each. So now the instructions say repeat the last 3 rows a set number of times. It's either gonna be 6 or 7 where I drew that diagram for you. So the first one is gonna be the expansion, and the expansion will always be the same up until you get to the repeat patterns of doing it 6 or 7 times. So let's turn our work and do an expansion. So we're gonna chain up 3, counts as a double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet into the same one. So there's your expansion, and then you're just gonna double crochet yourself across, except for the second last stitch you're going to put 2 double crochets into that one to do the expansion. So this is where it is now. So I'm gonna put 2 into this one, and then 1 into the turning chain at the end. So then the next 2 rows are gonna be just regular 1 double crochet in each across, and you're gonna do that. So you wanna continue to repeat your pattern over and over and over until you get the number of times done. In my case it was 6, but it could be 7 for you. But then what it says is that if the arm is not long enough, you have to measure it. Let's take a look at that. So what's gonna happen is you're doing your repeat pattern as it goes out like you see, and then what's gonna happen is that you repeat it a set number of times. It's either 6 or 7. Then what you have to do is that you have to take your tape measure and measure it. So in my case it has to be a total of 18 inches. And what I realized is that I am very close to the 18-inch mark already. So I can stop. If this is not long enough for you, then you just continue to go back and forth on this until you just equally 1 double crochet in each in order to get to the inches that you need. So it's either gonna be 18 inches or could it actually be 17 or 17 and a half, depending on the size of the body that of course that it's going to. I think the skinnier that you are, the longer the arms, because of the way that the body is shaped within this particular one. So you would think it would be the other way around, but it's not. So you're gonna get your sleeves done, and then you're just gonna take it, get your ends woven in, and now we're gonna start the assembly process in just a moment. You're now at the point of the tutorial where we're going to start putting our panels together. So we're gonna have a back panel, and we're gonna also have a front panel on one side and front panel on the other. This is the second time I've done this video, because the first time I did it I sewed everything completely backwards. So this seam here, okay, and this seam go together, so it just boom, like that. So what you're going to notice that there's dimensions. Let's talk about these dimensions next. So the instructions are going to give you the spaces that you need in order to have things line up all together. So as I mentioned, that this seam and this seam are together. So this here one is opposite to the side, so that seam will go here. So we have to measure out our sleeve areas so that we can leave room for the sleeves. So we're going to measure down, and it could be 8 all the way to 10 depending on the size that you're doing, and you're gonna measure down on this side here, and you're going to put some stitch markers, and you will be leaving that open then for the sleeves to be worked in, so it'll be attached. You're also going to then join, when you join this seam, you're going to join the top of this section here to the top of this section, and that information is also given here as well. So this here and this becomes together, so it'll be a complete fold, leaving a space here that you'll attach your sleeve. Now as you're sewing these together, when we go to put these together, you're going to do your whip stitch, and the whip stitch will always appear on one side or the other. It'll be on the side that you're working on. So you want to be very conscientious that when you're going to put this seam together here, that you opened up the jacket and put the other seam line right here, so that you're not accidentally putting the seam line that will appear on the outside of the coat. So you want to start working and dedicating yourself to what is the inside of the coat and what is the outside of the coat. So when you're going to work on this, then when you go to put on the sleeves, you're going to want to work on this side of it itself so that the seam line is also on the inside. Let me show you an example. So here's the inside of the jacket. So I did my whip stitching on the inside of the jacket. This is the front panel. This is the back that you see here. So when you have that, you can see that it's kind of obvious, but when you favor one side, so the inside, it looks more seamless on the other side when you go to look at it. So when you're going to do the sleeve area, that's way up here, when you go to sew, you don't want to ever sew on the outside of the jacket. You want to turn it and get to the seam line on the inside where the actual items are. So you're gonna go around on the inside here to keep that seam line on the inside of the jacket. So when you're doing your seam lines on the top, make sure that you don't go all the way across the back panel. This is the back, obviously this is the front. So you want to just go from the outside for a set amount of dimensions in, and then this is the back of your neck here, and then this begins the front of your neck as it's working its way around. So the next part of this tutorial, I'm going to take you through the whip stitching of this particular idea, and then you can just put it together, and then it will make a lot of sense as well. When sewing down the sides, what I'd highly recommend to you is that you start out the base and get them to equal out at the base, because that'll be more of a bigger difference, and then you can shift anything that you need to shift in order to get to the top of the armhole. But start off with the base so that you don't accidentally get down here and then one is way off than the other. So just match them up, and then just create your slip knot to start, just to go, and then just go through both sides. So just equally space your stitch work or your whip stitching as you work your way up, and just continue to do that. So never go into a gap, always go into like some chain work, because if you pull into a gap, you'll pull your stitch work apart from each other, and then it won't align. So just do that all the way up, and then just hide in your loose ends, and then just do the same for the other side. And I'll see you at the end of this, and we're almost done at this point. We just got sleeves left to do after this. So now we're at the point of the tutorial where we now got to put the sleeve together, and we're just gonna go from the outside cuff, and we're gonna whip stitch ourselves across this edge right into the armpit area, and then that's done. You're gonna do that on both sides, and this coat is actually pretty much done after this, and then you're going to try on your coat and see where it's gonna fit. Now because we used double crochet in this, the buttons that you use to close the coat should be able to fit through these. So what you want to do is try on your coat, see where it's gonna close perfectly for you. Make sure you kind of stand up, sit down, make sure that it's kind of fitting right. So now what we want to do is just finish this off, and we're gonna start off with the cuff and work your way to here. Again, I would not work on the armpit out, just in case that one of your cuffs is off. Start at the bottom of the cuff, because people, when you go to shake their hand or something, that's where they're gonna see. So you're gonna start off the same way, doing a slip knot like I already kind of showed you already, and you're going to just start off with a slip knot to put this into a darning needle, and you're gonna go right into the outside edge just like you see it here. So you're just gonna go in, okay, and then you are going to, so you're just gonna pull it through until you see the slip knot, and just slip the darning needle through the slip knot to lock it into position, and then we're gonna get rid of that loose end later, but you can just sew it into position too. You can just wrap it with your work and just whip stitch around the side as you go. Really quite easy breezy, beautiful. That's Cover Girl, right? So we're going to just work our way to the upper part, and then you're just gonna weave in your ends, and I want you to do both sleeves. Then you're gonna try on your coat, and we'll cover that in just a moment, but I'm actually really quite happy with this coat. It turned out pretty cool, and I think you'll be really quite happy with this coat too. I think there's some excitement about this particular pattern, and also I think because we've gone step by step, I think beginners are gonna be able to get a hold of this too. So when I come back, I'll have the sleeves done for you. We'll just do a quick wrap up, just cover the buttons once again, and you just go to your craft store or etc. to find buttons. You may have something in your stash as well, and you can have a good time doing that. So I'll meet you at the end of this project. We'll get everything done, and by the way, post your photos on Facebook. We'd love to see your finished coat, and you may have come up with different colors and ideas, even some add-on ideas, maybe flowers and etc. So I'll see you at the next part of this tutorial. So I'm now coming up to the underpit area, and all I just want to do is that I want to fasten it off, and this is the inside of the jacket. So I just want to take care of my loose ends, get everything nice and woven in. Remember the secret of going back and forth a total of 3 times. So just glide it through the project, stay on this side, don't you dare go on the outside of that because you'll see it. So just pass through once and go through the second time. Okay. And then go through a third time in order to make that work. And then you can just trim that right down. So what I want you to do is I want you to go and do the other side, and then you're gonna flip this and try it on and see what you think of it.